And you did, as you said, and he followed well from Father Peter McVerry's presentation and talking about some of the wider social detriments. Now I'm going to ask Fiona Ward from the Department of Social Protection, who's going to outline some innovative initiatives related to drug use and getting people some employment supports. Fiona.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks very much, Paul. Yes, my name is Fiona Ward, and I'm head of, I have responsibility for employment services in the Department of Social Protection. And I'm here to give you a quick overview of the employment supports and services that the Department of Social Protection provide to people in recovery from addiction. So the Community Employment CE programme is the primary vehicle through which we provide employment supports for people not only in recovery from addiction, but to people who are at a distance from the labour market. It is our primary contribution to the actions arising from the National Drug Strategy. CE, as we call it, is a wide-ranging employment support service based, I have to hold it up here so I can read my writing, based around part-time work, 19.5 hours a week, and training, where participants are encouraged to avail of training and development opportunities to improve their opportunities and prospects of secure and sustainable employment. CE schemes are typically voluntary and community-based organisations with focus on delivering benefits for local communities, and they're fully funded by the department to do that. We have a dedicated drug rehabilitation CE stream within the CE structure, and CE participants in recovery have additional flexibilities in terms of accessing the CE scheme, their attendance requirements, and indeed the work and personal development requirements. And because these schemes are locally based and have all the connections built within their local communities, they're really well suited to supporting people in recovery. And the department meets with the Drugs Advisory Group regularly to review progress and to ensure that our programmes are supporting the sector. Now, just the next few slides are where I outline to you the additional flexibilities that apply to the CE drug rehabilitation schemes over and above the mainstream CE schemes. So there are 1,000 CE drug rehabilitation places. They're ring-fenced for people in recovery to assist them, I suppose, have something, as Father Peter said, when they, I suppose, come out of their treatment placements, and it gives them kind of a focus and kind of a next step, a stepping stone, as we hope that they will be able to secure the skills they need to obtain sustainable employment. The 1,000 places equate to about 5% of the total number of CE places across the CE network nationally. And currently around 900 participants in recovery are engaged in the CE schemes. In relation to the CE drug rehabilitation schemes, there's 45 of those nationwide at the moment. And the staffing ratios for participants to CE supervisor is much more favourable than those in the mainstream CE schemes, with a participant to CE ratio of 7.1, participants to one supervisor. Within the mainstream CE schemes, it's 25 to 1. And this is in recognition of the additional barriers to employment and personal development that people in recovery face. People who go on a CE scheme, if they're in recovery, they don't necessarily have to go to one of the drug rehabilitation schemes. They can access a mainstream CE scheme, and the flexibilities that apply to those other schemes apply to that. In terms then of the qualifying conditions to access a CE scheme, again, there are flexibilities for those who are in recovery. So a person in recovery can access a CE scheme at the age of 18 if they're referred by a recognised drug rehabilitation service, and there's no waiting time. They don't have to be on a qualifying payment for any particular timeline. Whereas on a mainstream CE scheme, the person has to be 21 years and they have to be on a qualifying payment for 12 months. In addition, the duration a person can remain on a CE scheme if they're in recovery, they can stay on a CE scheme and remain attached to a scheme for up to 4 years, and in certain circumstances actually up to 5 years if they're, for example, completing an education and training programme. Whereas for a mainstream CE scheme, the maximum a person can remain on a scheme is for 3 years. So again, it's just recognising the additional barriers that a person in recovery faces. We also work closely on their additional flexibilities for ex-offenders who, as Father Peter said, many have addiction issues. So if an ex-offender can participate again in a CE scheme from the age of 18, but they must be referred by a number of agencies such as the Probation Service, the Irish Association for Social Inclusion Opportunities, and indeed the Prison Service and other services. And they don't need to be in receipt of an underlying social welfare payment to access the CE scheme, and they can participate, as I said, from the age of 18. But ex-offenders who are not referred by these services can also access CE from the age of 18. They do need to be in receipt of a qualifying payment, but time spent in prison is regarded as meeting the criteria towards that 12-month rule. And in addition, prisoners who are on temporary release can also access CE. So I suppose the benefits for people participating in CE are many. They allow somebody to undertake and gain meaningful work experience and have an opportunity to develop their skills. It allows them to build their self-confidence, self-esteem and self-worth. They're working in a very supportive environment with the coaching and mentoring that comes from the staff working in those schemes who are highly trained. They can access and they get the financial supports to access education and training. There's flexible working hours, and I suppose ultimately the hope is that they will be able to build the skills and expertise to enable them to secure meaningful full-time employment. In addition then to the dedicated CE drug rehabilitation streams, the Department's Employment Service staff also adopt a very flexible approach in their engagement with vulnerable and marginalised customers of the department, including those with addiction issues. And these are people obviously who have significant barriers to securing employment, and they allow for them to participate in rehabilitative support such as AA, Narcotics Anonymous, etc. And there's no reduction in their payment. They can continue to attend all those without any impact on their payment. There are also payment supports for those undergoing residential rehabilitation. So a person who is in a residential rehabilitation treatment centre can continue to receive their job seekers payment for up to 14 weeks, so that they, I suppose, to take that financial worry from somebody who's seeking treatment. In addition, employers then, if they, we have a number of incentives to incentivise employers to recruit people from the live register. So we have a scheme called the Jobs Plus scheme, which is it's a grant-based scheme. So an employer, if they take somebody from the live register, can get a grant paid over 2 years of €7,500 or €10,000. And if an employer recruits somebody who has a history of drug addiction or who has a prison record, the employer will be able to access the maximum amount of funding, a grant of €10,000. So these are kind of the supports we put in place to encourage people, employers to look and recruit.
Just 2 minutes, Fiona.
Okay.
Please.
And then our staff work on the last slide almost. They work very closely with local and national partners to ensure that, as Peter said, that there's a lot of cross working and that we are all that everybody kind of cooperates, and there's cross agency engagement. And for example, we work very closely with the local SICAP, the local development companies, and we refer our customers to initiatives that they have, such as that Red Door addiction service. We also have a protocol in place with the Irish Association for Social Inclusion Opportunities, the Prison Service and the Probation Service in our engagement with ex-offenders to ensure that there's a streamlined approach and a flexible approach taken to our engagement with ex-offenders. So I'd just like to finish up by saying that the department works across with multiple bodies across the system, both statutory and non-statutory, to ensure that there is that cross-agency cooperation in the provision of employment and training opportunities, so that we can, I suppose, to ensure that we get the best outcomes for the people that we serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiona.